Thank you. That's all the indicated individuals that will be testifying over Zoom. Members, any questions? Representative Kobayashi.
For DOT, it was mentioned that a certain kind of appraisal method, CBRE, may not fully take into account whether there is current up-to-date improvements. Is that correct?
The CBRE appraisal takes into account surrounding areas as well as the conditions within the facility, from my understanding.
So the comment that the CBRE appraisal does not take into account the lack of perhaps $18 million worth of repair and maintenance is incorrect?
Well, we do have $300 million of deferred maintenance. And although I know that some of the voters don't agree with the appraisal, we didn't find that there was any issues with the appraisal format. The reason why the wording is we're requesting to have it changed is our Attorney General's office requested that we just clarify having the appraisal done at fair market value.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Okay. Representative Wildberger, then Representative Tan.
Thank you, Vice Chair. For Ms. Stats in Dobor, please. One of the testifiers already mentioned that rates were increased 2 years ago. Could you describe what percentage the slip fees went up for both commercial and non-commercial permit holders?
Thank you, Wildberger. It varied depending on the facility. I don't have the percentages offhand.
It's about double, right? The rates were doubled 2 years ago.
I don't think that they were doubled. I believe Alawai, for example, may have been around $9 a foot. And I think right now it's at $13 a foot. So it definitely didn't double. There may have been some smaller facilities, perhaps like Wailoa Small Boat Harbor, may have increased a little bit more than some of the other facilities.
Thanks. And to clarify, I understand that DOBOR is not just charging for vessel length based on foot, but actual slip length. And so you might have a 25-foot vessel, but you're occupying a 30-foot slip. And so you're getting charged also for that extra space that used to be only counted in vessel length. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That was an administrative rule change that we proceeded to do in 19, excuse me, I'm off on my years. Yes, and that went through the process of the rulemaking process as well.
And then how does DOBOR go about analyzing how it's going to do improvements at various facilities?
We do work closely with our engineering branch, and we try to address the most important or necessary repair and maintenance projects first. So we do work with our district managers on all islands to try to address that. The issue that we've had in trying to do some of the repair and maintenance was the ceiling increase, and hopefully we get that this year, which will allow us to use more of the funding that we have to do the repair and maintenance in our facilities.
And is there any prioritization over what kind of income a facility brings in versus whether or not it gets upgrades? I notice anecdotally very disparaging conditions in neighbor island harbors versus Oahu harbors.
It depends when we get capital improvement project funds. Some of the projects or repair or maintenance that needs to be done is outside of the scope of what the boating special fund can be used for. Some of it does need to have capital improvement project funds, but we've been able to do some repair and maintenance in other places, and a lot of it comes down to where's the safety issues, and that ends up being our priorities. So hopefully with the fee increase that we're talking about doing, we're able to kind of use that money and with the ceiling increase to do a lot more repairs in a lot of our facilities.
Thanks. I would want an audit of DOBOR before I wanted to approve further increases. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Representative Tan.
My question's for DOBOR. Thank you, Vice Chair. So you mentioned $300 million in deferred maintenance. Has there ever been an incident where that deferred maintenance resulted in any legal action against the division?
Not that I'm aware of.
But there's a possibility, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to defer to our AG's office for that. I don't have that answer. I'm sorry.
So is there ever a possibility that the boat harbor, if it doesn't come up with the funds, would sell any harbor to a private entity simply because Dobar could no longer keep up with the fund, with the maintenance?
No, there's a process, and we would need legislative approval to enter into a public-private partnership. And we do not have that approval.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Members, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the next bill, Senate Bill 791, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 1 relating to vessel. Next up is Senate Bill 795, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 1 relating to state small boat harbor fees. Recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Representative Tam.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to be voting with reservations. I understand the dire need to fix the $300 million in deferred maintenance, but I understand as well that the cost of living has made it difficult for people to live in Hawaii, and the liveaboards only had that option.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion, Representative Wahlberger?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be in opposition to this measure due to the fact that Dobor already raised rates and doubled them just 2 years ago. And I think we need their financial management needs to be examined prior to offering another raise that will price out middle-class boaters from access to our harbors. This measure takes the path of making our harbors an elitist only accessibility. And I don't think that's really what we want to do in the state of Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Kobayashi.
I'm WR on this. I think that the department needs to look at appraisal methodology, particularly commercial boats versus liveaboard boats. Also at fees based on length of boat versus length of ship. I think in the past that was a problem. I know someone who had what was called a midget ocean racer and was at Alawai, and the scarcity of available ship slips almost forced them to get into a slip much bigger than this midget racer. And I thought that was already solved, but apparently it is not. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, please take the vote.
Yeah, members, voting on SB 795 SD 2 HD 1. Recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Noting the reservations by Representative Kobayashi and Representative Tam. Any other members voting reservations? Representative Peruso also votes with reservations. Any other members voting reservations? I have a no by Representative Wahlberger. Any other members voting no? Okay, Chair, all other members vote aye. Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is Senate Bill 791, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 1 relating to vessels. Recommendation.